Nation Militia family, the Las Vegas Raiders have a new head coach. Man, let's get unleashed.
Raiders Unleashed. The Rebellion. Raiders Unleashed on the screen. Hit that subscribe. It's the Raiders Rebel in the building. Silver and black. 2026. Yeah. Welcome to the desert. You know what time it is. Raiders Unleashed on the screen. Hit that subscribe. It's the Raiders Rebel in the building. Silver and black. 2026. Let's go!
Left the bay for the lights, now we lighting up the strip. A legion in the desert, yeah, we built a mothership. No more dirt on the diamond, no more Coliseum rain. Just a blacked out dome where we deal out the pain. We're the villains of the league, always been the outcast. Built on Al Davis' ghost and we're built to outlast. The torch is still burning, it's a lifestyle, a creed. In the city of sin, we're the only ones you need. Silver and black is back, check the throne. The Raiders got a new home in the dome. The nation is rising, we're coming for everyone. Forget the other 31, we're the only ones. Yeah, we're unleashed. Rebel with the vision, Raider nation worldwide. Making that precision, one mission, one pride. Until the game is won, fuck the other 31. We're second to none. Check the box office, yeah, the leadership is changing. Tom Brady in the office, things are rearranging. The GOAT is a minority owner, that's a fact. Bringing that winning DNA, no turning back. From the field to the booth, now he's part of the shield. Watching from the suite while we're dominant on the field. The rebels on the mic, Raiders Unleashed on the tube. Giving you the raw truth, we don't move like a rube. I'm a rebel with a cause, and the cause is the win. Blacking out the sun, let the nightmare begin. Chiefs, boats, and the ponies, they can all catch a fade. They're just stepping stones for the history we made. From the pirate on the helmet to the patch on the eye. We're the heartbeat of Vegas under that desert sky. Turn the volume up high, let the channel go live. In the Raider Nation, only the strongest survive. Silver and black is back, check the throne. The Raiders got a new home in the dome. The nation is rising, we're coming for everyone. Forget the other 31, we're the only ones. Yeah, we're unleashed. Rebel with the vision, Raider Nation worldwide. Making that precision, one mission, one pride. Until the game is won, fuck the other 31. We're second to none. You hear the RAIDERS chant. They thought we'd go soft in the desert, they can't. We brought the autumn wind to the 702. The Rebel and Unleashed, coming straight for you. Raiders Unleashed, you know where to find us. Raiders World, keeping it 100. Vegas is ours, the dome is ours. The shield is forever. Sound of a sword clashing, fade to silence.
Yo, what it do, family? Man, it is a new day in the Las Vegas city of sin. The Raiders are rising up. After under 31, we're the only one, right? So the Raiders have unleashed their new head coach today. Yes, pun intended. Klint Kubiak in the building with a big, warm welcome. Everybody was there. Everybody's welcoming him, except Max Crosby. But they had coffee earlier. So shout out to the people in the building, that got to pull up. They got to welcome our new head coach. We're going to talk about some of the things he said. We're going to break down, a little bit of the interview. If y'all can hear it, I don't know. I didn't have a chance to get all this shit done. But there was some very, very key points that I thought, Kubiak hit it out the park, man. The one statement, as you've seen the title, right? Raiders, the one statement on the title. Silent tape. Remember that. He said, we ain't here to cash checks. We ain't here to do no talking. We're here to let our words be seen on the tape, silent tape. So I love that. I love it. I love the funny little, any windows, He'll come into his own. He's going to have a lot of interviews, I do believe, for the Las Vegas Raiders. And, I'm sipping the Kool-Aid, man. I'm sipping the Kool-Aid. I like what he had to say. I like, his intentions. I like the fact that he walked up and he shook every single legend hand on the stage. Shout out to the Raiders for bringing on guys like Marcus Allen, the GOAT, Howie Long, Jim Plunkett, Rich Gannon. Who else am I missing? Lester Hayes. Man, shout out. I thought it was, a great introduction to the Las Vegas Raiders. He said some key things when asked about defense, right? They're going to be physical. They're going to play to the old school style of the Las Vegas Raiders. He knows this tradition, right? He was in the building when his father was facing the Raiders, the nasty Raiders back in the day when we were, feared by everyone around the league. And they didn't want to come to Oakland. They didn't want to come to the LA Coliseum. They didn't want to come and play the Las Vegas Raiders. And they sure the hell didn't want us coming to their house. And I believe Kubiak is going to bring that physical style back to the Raiders organization and to Las Vegas. Get ready for the stands to be silver and black, not just, purple and blue and gold and teal and every rainbow color you can think of. I believe there's a lot of people going to buy in to what this man's putting down. And as he said, not my words, but his words, right? As he said, they have to prove to the nation why they need to be in the stands, right? He doesn't expect anything. He said we have to earn them being in the stands. So he understands the culture already. He understands, the legacy. He understands the history. And I thought that was huge. We didn't see that. I mean, kind of a little bit with AP. But to me, Kubiak seems a lot more locked in on the culture of the Raiders, what we were, the history of the Raiders. And man, I love that. I love the fact that he said, he wants coaches in that aren't afraid to get after people, right? When they're not hustling in practice, when they're not giving 110%. So look for a new day, look for a change, coming on the horizon. I'm pumped up. I don't know about y'all. Yes, he's got a lot of work to do, right? He's got an awful lot to prove. He's got big shoes to follow. And, he's got a lot of cleaning up to do, man. We've been a mess for many, many moons. And it sounds like, not just sounds like, but it shows by his actions. The fact that he left Seattle to come do this press conference, and then he's flying back to do the little Super Bowl parade, and then he's coming back and getting to work. So he was straight up honest about Mendoza. I love the fact that when they asked him about Mendoza, he said, "Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't watch a lot of tape on Mendoza. I'm not prepared. I was in the Super Bowl. I was playing 2 days ago. So, this man is straight up. He came out honest. He didn't sell us a bunch of bullshit. He didn't tell us, it's going to be a 10-win season. We're going to hit the ground running. He said, no, we're going to put in work. You're going to have to work and prove that you deserve to be in the playoffs, that you deserve to be a winning organization, right?" And I thought those were big key statements, from a guy that's never been a head coach before. Obviously, he's been around his father, who's been a head coach. He's been around Mike McDonald, who's a damn good coach in Seattle. He's been around, He's been around with the Shanahans. So, he's been on some damn good staffs with some damn good coaches. And I think he learned a lot in Seattle. I mean, obviously winning a Super Bowl, playing how many games they got to play now? 20 to get to the Super Bowl. It's a lot of games, bro. It's a lot of games. A lot of teams to scheme for, a lot of different ways to scheme. And their team was up for it, right? Seattle was built, like he said, on physicality, on strengths, and hard work. And for some people in the building, they might not like that. Some people in the building might turn away and frown on the fact that, they make all this money and they might have to work for their position, right? We had that problem. We had that problem when Josh McDaniels was the head coach. There was a lot of people complaining about the meetings were too long. The film room was too long. They were on the field too long, right? They had double practices, morning and nights. People didn't like that, right? They were complaining. So if the guys don't buy into the culture, obviously they're not going to be here because the look on Spytek's face, the things that Spytek had to say about Klint Kubiak, that's his guy, right? I believe that's his guy. I don't think Tom Brady, and we'll get to that here in a minute. I don't think that's Brady's guy, right? So Spytek, his connection with Gary Kubiak, right? Knowing Klint Kubiak, knowing Jay, was it Jay Kubiak, right? Knowing the Kubiak family, this is his guy. This is his guy. He's got to own it. And I hear a lot of people saying, Tom Brady should have been in the building. We'll get to that in a minute. Um, love my background, appreciate it, my brother. So, there's a lot of work to do, but this man understands it, right? He's not expecting nothing. He's not, expecting anything given to him. He has a foundation in Christ. He has a foundation in the NFL, right? In his scheme, and that's easy when you already have your own foundation, right? And your foundation is not built on sand and it's built on a solid foundation. You can get others to buy in, right? They've already seen, he has the proof, right? He has the blueprint right in front of him. It's not a blueprint that is kind of faded that you can't read anymore. uh Not to knock on Pete Carroll, but I think his blueprint was like 20 years outdated, right? Let me know in the chats, thumbs up if you agree. So I believe this is a different culture. The man has has what, 4 kids, 3 boys and a girl, has young kids growing up in Vegas. It's going to be different. It's a lot different in Seattle. And I think this is the man for the job. I really do. I think if you listen to Mark Davis and what he said, 5, 10, 15 years down the road, he would like this man to be coaching. And I'm sure everybody in Raider Nation would love for this man to be the coach for at least more than 1 year, right? But the rumors are, and from what I hear, it's a 5-year contract. There's no money talk yet. Like I said, I believe it's going to be 15 million a year, $75 million. I think I think that's about where you're gonna where you're gonna be, right? There was rumors that they offered Ben Johnson 15 million. He took 13 million to go to Chicago because he wanted to beat Matt LaFleur, twice a year. They had that little rivalry going on. They still have that rivalry. So great day, man. Great day for Raider Nation. Great day to see all the alum in the building, all the guys buying in. We didn't see that last year. We didn't see too many people come up in the building. Matter of fact, I don't really remember like anybody that was there, right? Last year when they brought in Pete Carroll, not a lot of people. Marshawn Lynch, you heard screaming Raiders. Max Crosby was in the back, and we'll get to Max Crosby not being there also as well. So I thought that was huge. I thought the support from the alum means everything, right? When you have that many guys, showing up, I kind of would have liked to see Tim Brown, in the building too. A guy that doesn't, always show his face in the building, hasn't been too happy with the way this team has been losing. He's expressed his feelings on social media over and time again. I would have liked to see a Tim Brown sighting. I think that would have boosted everybody's spirits. But shout out to everybody in the building. Robert Penna, I know you just popped in to say what's up. If you're still here, what's up, OG? Faded Raider, what's good? What's good? Stefan in the building, appreciate you. Justin Brown, Raiders. Oreo in the building. Don't forget to smash the like button. Yes, yes. Was TB on the Epstein files? I don't know. I don't know. I heard some people say Tom Brady was on there, but it's just rumors. It's just talk. I'm not gonna say yes or no because I don't know. But when I do know, you will know. Promise that. Promise that. That would be one of the first things that comes out. So, what was your guys' takeaway from the interview? Is there anything that stood out? Is there anything that made you smile, made you get excited? To me, there was a couple parts. When he was talking about the defense, when he was talking about how he builds a team, how he's got to get everybody to buy in, how he doesn't want nothing given, doesn't expect nothing to given. he's not here to cash any checks. I thought that was a huge statement, right? He said, "We ain't here to cash checks. We're here to let our actions speak for our words." And a lot of people say he's kind of bland, didn't really I like it. I think he's all ball, and I think he's exactly what he said, right? A guy that his actions are going to speak for him, and so far they have. I mean, if you look at his track record, they were pretty good with Derek Carr in New Orleans, and yes, we'll have to talk about that as well later. Um, they had their time in New Orleans. They were pretty good until the team got hurt. So you go to Seattle, and man, they straight up killed it. TB, not TM. Yeah, I got you. I got what you were saying. I feel you. I don't know. I don't know. I've heard, like I said, rumors and seen shit. So I don't know, but um, let me do this test run real quick. Can y'all hear this? Shit never works out. YouTube, share. Let's share it this way. Well, fuck. I guess it's not even there now. What the hell happened? All right. Let's try this one more time. Oh, this shit always does this. Let's get rid of that. That. All right, man. Why does this shit always have problems? Skip, pause, back to me, share screen. One more time. This damn weather, man. It's hot, it's cold, it's 74 degrees, it's 30 at night. What the hell is going on here? What is going on here? I don't understand it. Do not understand it. Okay, besides the clapping. Yes, no, maybe so. Yes, no, maybe so. Can y'all hear it? Do you have sound? Do we have liftoff? Because I spoke juice, my bad. I mean, I don't know. Like you said, like if his name comes out on there, man, it's it's gonna be very, very bad, bro. It's gonna be very, very bad. Very bad. So I don't know if y'all can hear it or not. I'm gonna turn my damn phone on. And it's gonna echo. That's not gonna work, bitch. Um, no sound here. No sound from the video. Only me. All right. I hear you. I hear you. Try this shit. Can you hear me now? All right, try this one more time. Okay, that's not any different. Oh, technical difficulties constantly. Why does there always have to be technical difficulties? I don't understand. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't get it. Audio, audio output, speaker. Plug this shit. You like turtles? Nice. Oh shit. All right, man. So if y'all can hear this or not this time. I don't know why the screen is like this. Let's try one more time. Can y'all hear it? You hear me? That's it? I know my audio is working, but can you hear the damn? All right, never mind. We just won't play that shit. We'll do it a different way. I don't know. Hear me, not the video. I got that. I got that part. I get that part. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, man. So takeaways. I don't know why it's not playing sound. I do not know. I can hear it. I can hear it through my headphones. I changed it 3 different ways. It just don't want to work, man. It just don't want to work. Anyways, um, yeah. So, man, like I said, I really like what he had to say. I like what Spytek had to say, but there was um some mixed takes, right? Spytek was asked when they were evaluating coaches, did they know they were going to go offensive? Did they had offensive coach in mind? Why is this double screened? Try this again. There we go. So Spytek was asked when they were looking for head coaches, right? Were they planning on going defense? Did they already know that they wanted to go offense? Did they pretty much, have just offensive coaches in mind? And Spytek said no. They didn't have any coaches in mind, whether it be offense or defense. However, 2 minutes later, I clicked over to Mark Davis being interviewed, and they said, "Did you know Klint Kubiak was the way you wanted to go? And did you always want to go offense?" And Mark Davis said, "Yes, since we were, more than likely going offense number one overall in the draft this year, we figured we needed an offensive minded coach." So once again, as good as this press conference was, right? As good as everything's turning out to be, they're still not on the same page. Mark Davis is saying one thing, Spytek is saying another thing, and then you have the man that's supposed to be involved in all of it, Tom Brady. Tom Brady wasn't even there today. He didn't even show up. Now I know he's in town because the day before he was opening a card shop in a casino. So Tom Brady was around, but he wasn't there, right? We talked about it on the channel before. A bunch of people, a couple people had reports from guys that were interviewed by the Las Vegas Raiders. And they said they felt like it was a slap in the face that Tom Brady wasn't in the interviews when they know he was in other interviews. So why is it only specific interviews that Tom Brady was in? Is there guys that Tom Brady wanted that he only showed up to those interviews and didn't really care to hear about the other interviews? Or what is going on in this building? Because we got a coach. He said he loves, you know, the fit between Mark Davis and Spytek and Tom Brady. He said he's got Tom Brady's number. Tom Brady gave him his number. He's going to blow him up like a little high school girl with a crush. Probably a bad thing for Tom Brady. What do we got? I want to make a statement to Max. Get him Trey Hendrickson or Jalen Phillips. Um, for what, a year? I mean, honestly, that would work. Max Crosby would love it. I'm not saying Jalen Phillips, depending on how much money he's going to want, or Trey Hendrickson, he's going to want in the 30s. We already have a defensive end that's making $30 million a season. Plus, can we really afford with $100 million to bring in a guy making $30 million on the other side of him, and we have 23 free agents? What do we do? Bring back a whole bunch of $1 million guys, $2 million guys that aren't starters, that can't compete for a starting job? I don't think that's the way to go. I think Max needs help, but I think Max needs draft help. I think he needs somebody that has 3 or 4 years before we have to pay him a lot of money, right? Go out and get somebody in the draft. Maybe trade back and not get a quarterback in this draft and go defense like Arvell Reese. I think that would work. But bringing in a guy like Trey Hendricks, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. It's not going to be cheap. And that leaves us, with shit. You paying that guy $30 million a year. I'm sure they'll give him a bunch guaranteed. The first year would probably be, $10 million, the rest guaranteed. I mean, that's a lot of money for a defensive guy. Jalen Phillips, I don't know what he's getting. I'd have to look it up. But I'm sure he got decent money in Dallas, right? And it was, Dallas, right? Not Dallas. So I don't know. I don't know. We have a lot of holes to fill. Yes, Max needs help. They should have never let Kayvon Chasen go for $3.5 million. Is what they should have done. Is kept Kayvon Chasen, and I think we wouldn't have to be having a discussion of Trey Hendrickson. But I would bring in Trey Hendrickson if you're going to trade Max Crosby, right? If you're going to trade Max, if Max doesn't want to be here, Trey Hendrickson would be a perfect replacement. But then you got to get him help on the other side as well. So for me, I think Max needs help. Yes. Maybe Malcolm Kuntz stays around for another year on a lesser deal. I mean, he should, right? I think we gave him 12 million last year. I don't think he earned 12 million. I don't think he earned what Kayvon Chasen was getting, or I don't think he did better than what Charles Snowden did this year for under 3 million. So I think Malcolm Kuntz, should come back on a cheaper deal, because shit, that performance last year wasn't the greatest. So that would be nice to have Malcolm Kuntz back. Again, you have Charles Snowden, you have Jafari Harvey, a guy that I really believe would take the next step. And probably would have played pretty decent this year if they would have just let him on the grass, right? You also have Tonka Hemingway that, can play that 5 spot, can play the 4 and the 3 technique as well. So we have guys on the defense. I think a lot of our problem was coaching staff. I think, the talent, yeah, we didn't see it on the field, but who was coaching it? And were the coaches putting the players we had to their strengths and in the best positions? I don't feel that we were. So there's a lot of guys on this team that still need to be evaluated. I mean, shit, even from 2-3 years, Michael Mayer, for instance, right? We don't know what Big Mike can be. If he gets, 3-4 targets a game, can he be a 800 yard receiver and a blocker? We don't know, because we haven't had coaches to run 12 personnel enough to see what we got in Big Mike, right? Same thing with, a lot of the players. Tyree Wilson, is he really not getting on the grass because he's not showing it on the field or in practice? Or is he just not getting on the grass because we brought in or traded, for Thomas Booker, right? Because we brought in, who the hell, we paid a lot of money to Adam Butler, right? Those, we got veterans in the building. I think that's why these young guys aren't getting on the field. So I think if these young guys get a chance under a young up and coming defensive mind, even with Raider Paul, what's good, my guy, even with these young guys in the building, we got some guys. Jonah Lau. I mean, there's some studs on this defensive line. There's some young linebackers. Tommy Eichenberg. I mean, he looked pretty decent in some of the time he was out there. It just wasn't consistent, and it's hard to evaluate guys that aren't getting on the grass. So I think it's going to be very, very, very hard for Klint Kubiak to come in and say, all right, we're cutting this guy, we're cutting this guy, we're cutting this guy, we're cutting this guy, and we're bringing in new guys, because you're going to have to see them in camp, right? You're going to have to see, you know, can they fit your system? Can they pick up your system quickly? Are these guys capable, you know, capable of producing in your system, right? So he's there, man. A lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. I served a retired local news anchor. What 2 days ago? Nice. All right, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Let's add what we don't. What? Let's add to what we don't subtract. I mean, that would be great. That would be great. Definitely. But the question is, what do we subtract, right? Who's not going to make this roster? We heard from Klint Kubiak, he wants guys that are hustling. That you're right. They're going to be physical in practice. There's not going to be any guys, you know, out there with Max in the front if he's still here, right? And everybody else just lagging behind. It sounds like Kubiak is gonna, you know, gonna be on top of this shit. And if you're one of those guys lagging and you're not giving it all in practice, you're definitely not going to be on the grass. I don't think he's going to show any favoritism. So, yeah, let's add to what we don't subtract, but we have to figure out what we're not subtracting first, right? We don't know. I mean, a lot of people say Max is going to stay here. Some people say he's going to go. I don't know. He wasn't at the press conference today. He was in the building, but he wasn't one of the players that was there, right? Had coffee with Kubiak this morning. A lot of questions, man. A lot of questions still. By Kuntz. I mean, he's a free agent, right? I don't see, you know, they might pick him up. You still have Robbie Leonard in the building. You still have Max Crosby. And if Max Crosby's there, you know that's Max Crosby's boy. So he's going to be rooting for him. Raider Paul says, Raiders. How long you been a Raider fan? 50 years. 50 years. Damn. A long time. A long time. Is Kubiak the best choice for head coach of who was available? You know, we're gonna have to give him time, right? I say at least 3 years. At least 3 years. And let me say this to Raider Nation. I beg, and I don't beg. I'm begging Raider Nation. If you watch this video, if you're in this live, if you come across this video, just give Kubiak patience. Give him minimum 3 years, because we've seen what happens when guys come in and they're not given time to change the culture or to put in, you know, their scheme or their fit and their culture. And if we don't do that, we're just going to continue to chase our tail like a dog constantly over and over and over and over again. We have to get out of this cycle. We have to break this cycle. So I'm saying this because the first year might be rough. I mean, Kubiak, you got to evaluate guys, right? And you may not make the right decisions on guys. We heard Spytek say he doesn't want to make the mistake he made last year of letting guys go that were Raiders, that should have been Raiders. And he's learned from that, right? So with that being said, man, there could be some guys that are fan favorites that might not be here, right? I've talked about this before. Jackson Powers Johnson, right? You heard Kubiak say it all starts with center. You need a center that's smart enough to implement the system, that can point out defenses. And I think there was a problem with JPJ doing that, is why they moved him to guard. Or maybe they just moved him to guard because, you know, the coaching staff was bad. The offensive line coach was bad. Everybody was bad. That could be a big reason. And, you know, kind of be what happened. Um, but other than that, sorry, trying to find my place again. Um, my number one choice, right? I'm not going to come up here and flip flop like a fish, like a lot of people. Every week and be like, oh, my number one guy is Jesse Minter. Now it's Davis Webb. And now it's, Klint Kubiak. And now it's, Mike LaFleur. My guy was Mike LaFleur. It was Mike LaFleur the whole time. I felt it was the best coach for the job coming out of a Sean McVay tree. If you look at the history of guys that have come from the Sean McVay tree, I mean, they all have jobs as head coach, ROCs, and none of them are really struggling. I think except Zach Robinson struggled a little bit this year, but the rest of them, right? The rest of them have all made very good careers for themselves. And I thought Mike LaFleur was the right guy. I thought he was the right guy last year, and I thought he was the right guy this year. And Kubiak was my number two guy. A lot of people wanted Davis Webb. I just wasn't in on bringing in a Bronco that had 3 years. If you're going to do that, you might as well bring in Derek Carr as the head coach because he has just as much experience as Davis Webb. So I wasn't a huge Davis Webb fan. It was Mike LaFleur for me. I thought he was the best coach for the job. But Kubiak did make it to the playoffs, man. He did, dominate in the playoffs. They also beat the Rams and Mike LaFleur's team. But I think Mike LaFleur is going to do damn good in Arizona. It's going to be rough over there because you have, from what people say, a very cheap owner. We'll see if that changes around. But Kubiak was my second guy. So, I'm happy as hell with the decision. I just had questions. And my biggest question was with the Saints, when his number one quarterback got hurt in Derek Carr, the Saints fell apart. They went from a top team in the NFL, scoring 400. What they score? 40 points in 2 games in the first 5 games. They were banging. And then Derek Carr got hurt. And they had to bring in Spencer Rattler, a rookie. And that team fell apart. Now, was it because of Kubiak? Was it Dennis Allen? He was just the OC. But the offense fell apart. And that was my biggest question with Kubiak. He went to Seattle with a team that was already established. They already had their number one running back. They already had their number one receiver. They just needed an offensive coordinator to put it together with their defensive head coach, right? And that's what happened in Seattle. So can he do this in Vegas? I mean, I hope so. I hope so. Can he do it with a rookie quarterback taking number one overall? That concerns me as well, right? So I'm not sitting here saying, man, this is going to be, the greatest year and the greatest coach ever. I have my concerns, and my concerns are if it's not his quarterback, right? If something happens, you got to run with the backup. What does this team look like, right? What is the defense going to look like? Who's the defense going to be? And also, where do we go in the draft, right? We heard the number one question asked. How do you feel about Mendoza? And he said straight up, no lie, I didn't watch any tape. I watched one game that was the national championship game, and I'm going to have to watch film on Mendoza, right? And he's looking forward to, breaking down the film. But he also said he's looking forward to watching film on all these guys in the draft. He also said Mendoza is a high prospect no matter where he goes, right? No matter where he goes. So little key things. And when he said that, Spytek said, like the damn exorcist, his head turned around quick as hell when as soon as he said something about, evaluating Mendoza and he didn't watch film on him. He was like, just stared at him for like 3 minutes. So again, might not all be on the same page, man, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun off season. And I hope y'all are here with me during this off season to talk about it. Let's just draft these players. Fernando Mendoza, KC Concepcion, Jacob Rodriguez, Tony Rojas, Fernando Carmen, my Arkansas Razorback. I like that. I like all those picks, bro. I like all those picks. Tibor Pena, wide receiver and kicker, turn out of San Diego State. I don't like Pavea at quarterback. I just think his, um, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's going to be hard to duplicate a Doug Flutie, right, type year. The NFL has changed. It's different. The offensive linemen are bigger. The tight ends are bigger. The receivers are bigger. The running backs are bigger. It's hard for these smaller guys to see. You're going to have to move the pocket. You're going to have to develop an offense for them. I mean, just look at Kyler Murray, right? For instance, not he struggles, and it's not because he's not a damn good quarterback. It's not because he's not, you know, I mean, don't have the greatest accuracy, but it's not because he's not accurate. It's because he's got to have windows. He's got to have throwing lanes. He's got to create his own windows and throwing lanes by moving the pocket. So I don't know about that, but yeah, man, Fernando Mendoza, I'm down. Um, if they take Mendoza, I wouldn't mind a receiver in the second round. Jacob Rodriguez, you might have to move up to the second to get him. I don't see him falling to the third. But if he does, I'm all in on that. Um, Fernando Carmona, like I said, Razorback, I'm all in for that as well. I would not be opposed to drafting Mike Washington Jr. We're going to do a mock draft here in a minute. We'll pull up here in a second and do that. Raider Ryan, what's good? We're going to do a Kubiak draft, right? We're going to go all offense. We'll have a couple defenses in there because sometimes you just got to go best available. But we're going to do a Kubiak style. What we need to change this team around and make it Kubiak's style Raiders, right? So we'll pull up for that here in a second. Do not shy away from drafting Latino players. They already made a mistake with Christian Gonzalez. Why we picked Tyree? This is a new movement. Um, I Christian Gonzalez was one of my favorite players coming out of the draft. I wasn't doing YouTube then, right? I was just in the, I was just a troll in everybody else's comments, right? I watched all the big time YouTube creators and kind of why I started my own shit. But I watched all their shit. I used to go in there and troll, comment and all that shit. But Christian Gonzalez, yeah, I had a lot of people that started talking about him on their YouTube channels from mentioning him a lot. The film was crazy, bro. And when you need a corner and you haven't drafted one since what? Nnamdi Asomugha, Charles Woodson. Who else did we draft in the first round? Somebody else. But anyways, yeah. So I agree 100%, man. I thought Christian Gonzalez was a steal in that draft. I also wanted Devin Witherspoon. He went a pick or two picks before Tyree Wilson, before we flopped on Tyree Wilson. So yeah, man. I'm not mad at Latino players. Like shit, we had Jim Plunkett, right? Drafted in the first round, didn't do too good, came to the Raiders and, won 2 Super Bowls, right? We also had Tom Flores as a player, as a coach, as an assistant, one Super Bowl ring. So, yeah, I mean, I know the history of the nation. Like, and we have a very, very, predominant Latino fan base. I mean, let's be honest. So, again, I'm Mendoza's growing on me. I was not on board, but if the Raiders pick him, I was gonna be pissed at first. I don't know how mad I'll be. Right? I don't know how mad I'll be, but there are still concerns. Raider Ryan in the building. It wasn't just Carr. They lost a handful of starters on the defense that year. Yeah, exactly. Why Spot Tech staring at Kubiak when he was asked about Max Crosby too. Yeah, you see that look again? It's like a ninja. As soon as he said, yeah, I had coffee with him and I can't wait to have coffee again, boy, he was like, pow! What? Yeah, some things going on. Is AOC important to keep as a backup? I believe AOC is important to keep a backup, keep as a bridge. If Fernando Mendoza, if we draft him and he's not ready and they want to sit somewhere, it's the cheapest deal. You have a veteran, yes, veteran, 3 years in the NFL. I mean, you're considered a vet, right? I think 3 years, 4 years. So not a seasoned vet, but you're considered a vet. So 3 years in the NFL, he's got 20 starts. He's got 20 touchdowns and 11 interceptions in those starts. you can't find me a backup that has better touchdown to interception ratio that was on a worse team than than the Raiders and Aiden O'Connell. So it would be stupid to get rid of Aiden O'Connell. He's still making $1.4 million, right? The first 2 years he was making 1.2. Now the third year he's making 1.4, and the Raiders have squandered that, right? Completely squandered that. So now he's going in his fourth year, and this is his contract year. Um, yeah, it's important as hell to keep. And you know, one thing about that is you have the silent killer, right? Who everybody calls the silent killer in Klint Kubiak, but you also have the cerebral assassin Aiden O'Connell in the building. And one thing about Klint Kubiak and Aiden O'Connell, you will not have to buy Aiden O'Connell a Bible, right? He's already got his Bible. He brings it, he reads it all the time. So I think those two will hit it off like boom. They're gonna be best friends. You know, I don't see Aiden O'Connell going nowhere. A man of faith coming in the building with a man of faith that's not, not afraid to express his faith in Aiden O'Connell. I think these guys are going to click. I think they're going to connect big time. So I don't see him going nowhere. It would be stupid to let him go anyways. You got one more year, you know, before you have to, wait, one more year? Yeah. So, you got one more year of a cheap deal before you have to extend them or let them go. And I just don't know why you wouldn't keep a guy that's, if you take away his record playing for bad teams and you look at his stats, is a very serviceable backup. But maybe somebody, wants him as something else, right? You don't know. So I would keep him. I would keep him. Also, Klint Kubiak talked about Ashton Genty, right? He was asked about Ashton Genty and, seeing how K9 was MVP in the Super Bowl. That's a huge, huge, huge upside for Ashton Genty. He showed up, unlike some people that are the face of the Raiders. He was there front row, sitting in the front row. Also with Caleb Rogers, I do believe was sitting there. The future of our offensive line. He showed up. Who else was there? A couple people was there. So shout out to the Raiders that are on the roster that showed up, to welcome the new coach. There was a lot in the building, but not everybody showed up to the press conference. But there was some there. But anyways, he was asked about Ashton Genty. He said, again, let's be honest, I didn't watch film of him this year, right? It just got done playing 2 days ago, but he watched a lot of Boise film on him. I guess maybe they were scouting him last year to maybe draft him. So I don't know why you got Kenneth Walker there and Charbonnet. So anyways, he knows Ashton Genty, seen him a lot in Boise. And he just said, dude, get ready, right? We're going to work. It's not about one person, right? I've said this on this channel till I'm blue in the face. It's not about the quarterback. It's never about the offensive line or the running back or your number one receiver. This is a team sport. I love the fact that Klint Kubiak reiterated that fact over and over and over again. Just about every question they asked him, he said, well, man, it's not a one-man sport. It's a team thing, right? So for Ashton Genty, we're going to have to get a quarterback that can make the right checkdowns, that can make the right reads. You're going to have to get an offensive line that's physical, that can block for this man, right? So, says all the right things, said all the right things. Everybody was waiting to hear. I really like the fact that Klint Kubiak had a bunch of cards and he started to read. And he said, you know what? I have all these right here, but, I'm not good at reading. So he just went from the heart. Nothing was scripted, right? Nothing was off a little notepad. Everything was just straight from the heart. So I thought that was genuine as hell. And I was impressed. I'm not going to lie. I was impressed that, he had taken the time to write out what he was going to say, write out his answers, right? And then just decided, nah, bro, I don't need this. I'm going to go from the heart. So when he was asked by Hondo Carpenter, I thought this was the great way to start it off. Shout out to Hondo Carpenter with a great question. He said, Seattle wanted you to come back. A lot of teams wanted you to be their head coach. Why did you choose the Las Vegas Raiders? And what did the ownership say to you to make you want to come here? And Klint Kubiak's answer was, They didn't have to say nothing. This is the Las Vegas Raiders. This is a historical franchise. This is history, right? So that was one of my biggest things. If you follow this channel and you come on these lives and you watch me, one of my biggest things was, and one of my biggest questions was, I hope the Raiders don't go out and spend a lot of money and overpay this man if he doesn't want to be here. I didn't want a head coach that didn't know the history of the silver and black. And yes, he said silver and black, not black and silver. That's another plus. Ching ching for him, right? Most people, they don't get it right. You've seen some reporters on Super Bowl roll, not to go off topic, but supposed Raider reporters that said black and silver. Um, so they went off script. So I thought that was huge, right? Um, and just all around, man, just all around, a nice, even kill, genuine talk, right? About how he felt about the team, about what he was going to do, about his foundations, about where he came from, watching his father win a Super Bowl, seeing the smile on his face, now being able to win one in the same building, I thought was, a little fairy tale story. So what else we got? What else we got? When and how two Raiders dump Geno. I'm glad you brought that up too, because Klint Kubiak talked about how he really liked Geno Smith and how Geno was a warrior and how Geno was a dog in the fourth quarter and won more games than any quarterback in the fourth quarter the last 2 years in Seattle, and how he really wanted to work with Geno Smith. Right, there was an interview when he got to Seattle. If you haven't seen it, I might pull it up tomorrow. But today, nobody mentioned Aiden O'Connell. Nobody mentioned Geno Smith. They mentioned Fernando Mendoza one time, and the other quarterbacks weren't brought up. So I thought that was very, very interesting that nobody even asked about Geno Smith or how he felt about Geno. And again, I thought it was interesting that like he said, he ain't up here to cash no checks or to write no checks, and he's ready to get to work. So the man will be shipped off to Seattle on a private jet. I'm sure Mark Davis is playing again. Fly him and him and his family back to Seattle for the parade, and then they'll be back in Vegas and getting to work. And we are, what's today, the 10th? So we are 1 month away from tampering period. This man has less than 31 days, or less than 30 days, right? How many days are in this month? Somebody let me know. Anyways, this man has less than 30 days to come up with a game plan for free agency, for releasing players, for cutting players, for re-signing players. And I know Spytek's in the building, and I know they have their scouts in the building, and they're going to make their suggestions. But this is the head coach, and Spytek said, which I loved, the head coach is down there on the field with the players every day. He talks to them in the meetings. He talks to them in the film room. He talks to the players. He's with them. Let the guy pick his players, right? So, if that's the case, all they can do is suggest, right? That's what scouts do. They go into scout guys. They bring in a list and they say, these are my guys. And the coach and the general manager, they go over it. They pick the guys that they want. They put them on the board. And then they choose, right? And then they choose. So a lot of oh, February. Damn, it's February. What am I thinking? 30 days, 28. So, like I said, less than 30, right? Less than 30 days, man. This man's got a long way to Gizzo. But if anybody can do it, man, I think it's Klint Kubiak. Like I said, I really was impressed. Pro football. Yeah, let me try this one. Really was impressed. Thought it was a damn good interview. All right, mock draft. Do we want to do consensus, ESPN, PFF, or the Athletic? What y'all trying to do? All right, I can't see y'all's comments, and it's gonna take 45 seconds, so I'm gonna make my own. Um, let's try PFFs this time. Let's see what PFF consensus are. See if they change it up any. Mix it up. Mix it up. Mix it up. Up. All right, man. So we got no screen. There we go. Kubiak mock draft coming up. All right, I need to change this up a little better there. These fucking ads. I swear. I swear. I swear. I hate these ads, bro. Really hate these ads. All right, so let's get into it. We are Raider Nation. Solo draft. Let's go really, really fast and let's start. So, right off the rip, we have the Cleveland Browns want to give us number 6, number 24, number 39, number 70, and a first round next year. If you're the Las Vegas Raiders and you get offered anything in that ballpark and you do not take it, I am going to erase this shit. I am not playing. I don't care how bad it hurts, how bad the laser burns. I will go over it. There is no way in hell you can pass up three first round picks, a second or a third, and a fourth. There's no way. No way. So I'm not going to take this because this would just be stupid. We know that's not going to happen, and it would just ruin the mock draft. But this is just a look at. Um, the New York Jets would like to give us number 2, number 16, number 33, and 103. I mean, honestly, if you're the Las Vegas Raiders, I think you're dumb if you don't take this. That's 2 first rounds. That's a second and a fourth. I mean, I don't know how you don't take that. Arizona to move 2 spots, right? Oh, sorry. The first one was to drop to number 6. The last one was to drop 1 spot, which would make more sense, right? This one is to drop to the 3rd spot. They want to give us 3, 34, 65, a first round in 2007, and a second round. I mean, to be honest, if you're the Las Vegas Raiders and the Arizona Cardinals are stupid enough with a brand new head coach to give away this much draft capital, for one, you have to laugh at them. Number 2, you have to accept, because if people are willing to be that stupid, you let them be that stupid, right? Now we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. They want to give us 21, 53, 76, a first and a second. We'll just laugh at that. Indianapolis, which I heard really wants this pick, but they just don't have the draft capital to do it, right? And I don't know who they would give up in a trade package, but I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana tries to do something crazy, throw in a first round next year with a player and give us this right here 47, 78, 103, a second and a third next year. Y'all crazy. Crazy as hell. Miami wants to give us 11, 43, 75, a first and a second. To be honest, I would take any one of those. Honestly, but let's just say no. Let's just say no, right? Let's just say Kubiak. Kubiak wants Mendoza. Let's do the right thing. Let's take Mendoza. All right, the Jets want to give us 44 and 103 for 36. No. The Browns want to give us 39 and 147 for 36. That's moving 3 spots. That would be what, seventh in the second round. Um, CJ Allen's on the board. Ty Simpson is on the board. Mason Thomas is on the board. Anthony Hill is on the board. You know what? Let's take the extra pick. Let's accept. Oh, good lord. Cleveland wants to give us no, we already accepted, bro. Thank you. All right, so we are on the clock at 39. We have CJ Allen, Ty Simpson, Chris Bell, R. Mason Thomas out of Oklahoma. That would be my pick here. I know I said we're going to go Kubiak, but I mean, damn, if you're looking at the offense, Chris Bell, Zion Young is there, Hood is there. All right, let's do this. Offense. We need to go offense. We need a wide receiver. That wide receiver would be Elijah Surratt. We can wait on that. Chris Bell, CJ Brazil. Damn, they took all the wide receivers. Malachi Fields. All right, we'll just wait. We'll go with Malachi Fields. Offensive tackle. I think we can wait on that too. I mean, oh shit, my guy is gone. Wait, what? Wait, no. What? Oh, there's Jennings Dunker. They got him at guard. I don't know. I'm not taking Jennings Dunker at guard though. What y'all think? I don't think we need him as a guard. I think he's strong enough and big enough to play tackle. I know his footwork needs work. I know his technique might need some work, but his physicality. We have so many guards, man. So many guards. I can't do it. I can't do it. We need a linebacker bad. Let's go CJ Allen here. Reject. We are picking at 76. We have um Connor Lew at Auburn. I mean, we need a center. Trinidad Chambliss, Rivers, CJ Daniels, Brazil, Slaughter. How far do we have to go? Suck a dick. Where's offense? Deion Burks at Oklahoma. I like Malachi Field, man. I think this dude's gonna be a dog. Where do we pick next? 102. He's not gonna be there. All right, I'm getting to y'all. What do we got? Until Max gets traded, or we trade for a number one, we have no hope. Not being a downer, but it's just facts. I mean, we definitely need him. LaFleur can't do anything with Kyler Murray. He might give all that up to get Mendoza. He might. He might. He just might. I mean, they have weapons galore. If you're looking at their receivers, right? They have Williams. They have uh fucking his son, his daddy played in the NFL. What can't I think of his name? Um, they have the best damn tight end in all of football, possibly. Yeah, they have some weapons over there, bro. They have some. They have some weapons. They possibly could trade all that. All right, let's get back to this. Wide receiver, C.J. Daniels out of Florida. Kind of like, I kind of like Brazil here. Actually, I'm going Skyler. I'm going Skyler. 5'11". I think we're gonna have to move on from. Oh, we need a number one so bad though. Yeah, I'm gonna take Malachi. I'm gonna take Malachi Fields here. You got to have a receiver. I can't wait till 98. All right, 102. They want to give us 127, 133. That's a lot of picks. I'm not dropping that far back though. And now all the wide receivers are here. Eric McAllister, he was better than him. He was better than Eric Rivers. Jacoby Lane at USC. Damn, we probably should have took that. Didn't think he would fall that far. All right, so guard, we can go. I like Bo Stevens. I really like Bo Stevens. I think he's going to be one of those dudes. Kalen Rutledge also played very well. Amari Reed Abrams is not bad as well. What is his size? 6'5", 317. Texas A&M. What do we got running back? Nicholas Singleton. Katron Allen. Damon Claiborne at the Wake Forest. I like that too. 121. Where do we pick? 124. Le'Veon Moss. Okay, we'll take a running back in the next round. I need a center. Need a center. Boom. I'll take that one. I'll take that one right there. What happened? All right, we got our center. I like Bo Stevens out of Iowa. Emil Wagner. Diego Pounds is too slow. All right, I need to go back to running back. Oh, Mike Washington Jr. is there? Man, he's not going to be there, but I mean, I can't pass this up. Can't pass that up. You have Thunder and Lightning in the backfield. Reject on that. All right, so far we have Fernando Mendoza. We had to go get a linebacker because we definitely need a linebacker that can cover. We've got a receiver, Malachi Fields. We got an offensive center and Sam Hecht from Kansas State. If you didn't watch the Senior Bowl, go watch this man dominate in practice. Right, I think he was a tackle and he moved over to play center because he's just not, athletic enough. But he's definitely athletic enough to play center. So go check this man out. Absolute beast. He's gonna kill it at center. Fighting with JPJ or whoever is in that spot. I believe it's going to be a battle. I kind of like Jacoby Lane out of USC. I mean, why not? Why not? I mean, I like Ted Hurst as well at 146. What are we at? 125 and he's 134. Why did Jacoby Lane fall that far? Jacoby Lane has a senior 195, had a breakout season campaign, followed by production 49 catches, 700 yards, 4 scores, and 7 years ago. We picked 147. Shit. What do y'all think? What y'all think? Should we go defense? I really think we need some defense. I know I said it's going to be a Klint Kubiak draft. Julian Neal's there. Let's just draft him. We need a corner. Take my Razorback. 35, almost 35-inch arms. Very long wingspan. 6'2". Not very heavy, but good hips. Good with his back to the ball. He's a lockdown corner. Not great in zone, but I think we can get past that. Depending on who. And Malachi Lawrence, USF is there too. Shit, let's just take him as well. Let's take that as well. Reject. Who else we got? All right, so let's recap. We have our quarterback of the future. We have a linebacker, more than likely of the future. CJ Allen was a dog at Georgia. Malachi Fields, I believe he can be that number one. You know, under the right coaching staff, I think Kubiak is going to bring in the right coaching staff and get the best out of these guys. Sam Hecht, again, was a tackle that moved to center, absolute dog. Mike Washington was the fastest dude, second fastest guy at the Senior Bowl in two of the practices and the Senior Bowl day with a 21 point something speed clocked. He is 228 pounds. He is 6'2". He is your prototypical running back. Just killed it at Arkansas. He can catch out of the backfield. He can block. He can do everything you need him to do. I mean, and then shit. On the defensive side of the ball, another Razorback, Julian Neal. If you don't know who Julian Neal is, I ask you to go watch film on this young man. You know, if you can't find film, go watch the highlights, right? Because pretty much his highlights are what's going to be in the future. This dude is a dog. I believe he has a bright future in front of him. And with that, we have, let's go best available. Cyrus Allen, I kind of like that. Dante Capehart, I like that too. Get back to what y'all are saying. If anybody's talking, ain't nobody saying shit. Nobody saying shit. Charlie talking. All right. Let's go back to doing my thing then. So, all right, let me make sure what we got. So we got linebacker, wide receiver. We got center. I think we're good on guards. We got corner. Shit, I think we're about ready to play football. I mean, what else do we need? We got an edge rusher. I think we need a defensive tackle. Let's go DT. Um, or another receiver. I'm not afraid to draft receivers. 5'11", 180. What else we got receiver wise? Jeff Caldwell, Cincinnati. 6'5", 208. I'm down with that. I don't really know any of these guys. Mississippi State, Brandon Thompson. Little feisty guy. I think he runs kickoffs and punt returns, and the Raiders could definitely use a guy to run punt returns. So I wouldn't be mad at one of these smaller cats. He's not a smaller cat. Most blistering 100-meter record. Damn, at 10.8 seconds, which serves as direct reputation of his build. While he struggled to produce consistently at Texas and Oklahoma throughout his first three seasons, he effectively broke out at Mississippi State in 2025, acquiring 57 catches for 1,054 yards and 6 touchdowns, as well as a strong PSF and impact report. Thompson weighs in at only 170 pounds. That's bad. But I do remember this man, and I do remember somebody that's going to be a GM that does YouTube, that's been in the NFL, that's been on ESPN, saying Brendan Thompson has that dog, right? He has that mean streak in him. We are at 174. He is 171. I think that's great value. What do we have at tackle? Faya Amo. Slim Pickens. Let's go wide receiver, man. Let's go wide receiver. What is Cyrus Allen? Shit. No? Nothing? All right, let's go with Thomas. That's what I'm going with. All right, we are pick 181 and we are pick 184. That's a lot of picks. We will go defense. We need safety. VJ Payne out of Kansas. Done. Way too early, but I'm going to take him now because we have another pick coming up. And I'm going to take one more. Take somebody in the trenches, bro. Somebody in the trenches. Devin Eastern. Where do we pick again at 219? Yeah, I'm going to take Devin Eastern out of Minnesota. An absolute monster and a freak. He's going to shore up the middle for a long, long time with Tonka Hemingway, with JJ Pegues, with Jonah Lau. Yeah, I'm here for that. I'm here for that. And then last one is best available is damn Taylor Green still on the board. I gotta take Taylor Green as a project. You know, put him on the practice squad. Whoever's the backup, be the backup. Whoever's the starter, be the starter. But yeah, so here's what we got. We got Fernando Mendoza. We got CJ Allen. We got Malachi Fields. Very, very underrated wide receiver out of Notre Dame, right? Had a rookie throwing on the ball, and CJ Carr, who Tom Brady says he loves. Sam Hecht, I talked about him. Guard or tackle moved to center. Mike Washington, we talked about him. Julian Neal. Malachi Fields. If you don't know who Malachi Fields is at a UCF, you know, it's a Florida school. They might not be Florida State, they might not be Florida, but they're still Florida. Them dudes are dogs down there. There's just something in the water that's different. Go watch this man. You know, if you have the opportunity to watch film on him and not just highlights, I recommend it. You know, put on just 15 plays in a row from any game, and you'll see this man flash. Brendan Thompson, Mississippi State, just one of those fast slot guys that could do it all, right? You could use them on reverses, into rounds, double reverse, you know, wheel routes, handing off shit, probably even up the middle out of the backfield. I think the young man could pretty much do it all. VJ Payne, big hard hitting safety. Devin Eastern, I talked about him, right? Just a tough, big mammoth of a man, defensive end, tackle. Sorry, I think he plays mainly 3 tech. And then Taylor Green, man, 6'6", 220 something, 228, I do believe. You know, a huge guy at quarterback, has all the accolades. He just needs to focus on not throwing the ball, reading the field better. Maybe he needs, you know, maybe he needs LASIK surgery like our guy Trey Tucker had to have. You know, maybe he just doesn't see the field the greatest, but you know, in a year or two of development, I think this man could make some noise in the NFL and surprise an awful lot of people. So let me know what y'all think, how y'all feel. We got what, 8, 9, 10, 11. We traded back, got 2 more picks, so we end up with 11 overall, which ain't too bad. And yeah, man, so that's what we got. 13 personnel tight end. We got the guys to run 13 personnel. We don't need another tight end. It's all of my shit. We don't need another tight end. We have Carter Runyon. We also have Ian Thomas, and we also have Oka, whatever, AOK. That's what I call him. You know, still on the practice squad. So we got 5 tight ends in the building, and you know, I think 4 of them can play. So I think we're good there. And you know, if we run 13 personnel, I think we got the guy. Like Carter Runyon is slept on. He was the guy I talked about coming out of the draft last year with his physicality, his athletic skills. So Carter Runyon is one of those guys. He's more athletic than Brock Bowers. You know, he has damn good hands, and he's going to be one of those dudes, I think, eventually in the NFL if, you know, being behind Brock, being behind Michael Mayer. When he gets his opportunities, when he got his opportunities this year, he came up big, right? He didn't drop the ball. He blocked pretty well. So I like our tight ends. I like the fact that Luke Steckel is coming back to run the tight end room. I think that's huge for this franchise. It says an awful lot about Luke Steckel. It says an awful lot about Robbie Leonard and the guys that they kept around, that they continue to keep around after turnover after turnover after turnover on his coaching staff. So that's what I got, man. I'm tickled to death. I'm pumped. I'm excited. I can't wait till April. I can't wait till the off season. I can't wait till the draft. Let me know if y'all going to be at the draft. I'm trying to make plans to get there. I know there's a lot of people going to be there, so I would love to show up, but got to get everything in order. It would be cool as hell. Never been to a draft. Definitely on my bucket list. Pittsburgh. I don't know if that's on my bucket list, but just kidding. Shout out for the $2 holla. Laptop computer working on the screen. Nice. Appreciate you. Grandpa Harold in the building. What's good, my guy? Thanks for pulling up. Raiders for life, as always. So, yeah, thank y'all for rocking with me. Thank y'all for pulling up. A little different, pulling up on than not pulling up on the phone. That way I can pull shit up. Sometimes it doesn't always work. I promise you I will have this audio corrected so I can play the damn shit that I want to play when I come back. So that's my mission. That's what I'm gonna do. Arnie Garza in the building. I was gonna get off here, but I know you got some questions, so let's take the questions. What's good, my guy? What did you think about Spy Tech and the press conference? Arnie Garza, do you get notified, just out of curiosity? Like, do they notify you when I go live? And anybody else in the building? Are y'all getting notifications like 30 minutes before I go live? Does it show up? Faded Raider, I appreciate you with the $2 and the $4 $4 gift. I appreciate you for always supporting this channel. If I could have 100 more like you, I could just quit my job and do YouTube for a living. Appreciate you as always. Shout out for the $5 one. Hippo character running at a high speed with legs foaming like a ball. Do y'all see this? Do y'all see these things? Because I don't see them. Who gets all the credit for hiring Kubiak, Spytek, Brady Davis, or the first pick in the draft? It's a damn good question, Arnie Garza, and I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to talk about this a little bit more tomorrow when we went over, some of the press conference. I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say here. I was going to talk about that a little bit more, but I feel like Tom Brady failed by not being in the building, right? We talked about it a little bit, how some of the coaches that were interviewed, there's reports that some of them felt like, it was kind of a slap in the face that they did not have Tom Brady in their interview, but he was in other interviews. I think this is a fail for Tom Brady for not showing up, right? If he wants to rock Raider gear, when you're scouting Mendoza, and then you don't want to show up when you're making one of the biggest hiring decisions, of your tendency as a Raider minority owner, right? I think it's a fail for Tom Brady. However, maybe, just maybe, and I'm crossing my fingers, I'm praying to the good Lord above, maybe Kubiak and his faith could help me out here, that maybe, just maybe, they told Tom Brady, let's let Spytek run this shit, right? And who gets credit for it? Spytek has the connections with Gary Kubiak, right? Spytek knows Klint Kubiak. So I believe Spytek was the guy that got Kubiak to take this job. Not to take the job, but to take the interviews. I'm sure Tom Brady had a part in it, but it don't seem like it was Tom Brady's guy. It seemed like more like Webb was Tom Brady's guy, in my opinion. Just speculating. So I will say this. If it turns out to be a great hire, Don't think that Tom Brady won't be front and center, rocking his Raider gear, right? Sporting that shit for everybody to see how great the Raiders are and how great he made the Raiders being minority owner. The fact that he's not there, I don't think he should get credit for this shit when it all comes together, right? And I know he's behind the scenes and wants to be in the shadow, but if you want to be in the shadows of running this team and putting it all together, don't be popping out of the shadows to take credit and ruining, stealing other people's glory. Because I believe Spytek deserves the damn glory for bringing in, Klint Kubiak. I think it was his connections. I think it was his time with his father. Is the reason Kubiak is here, and it's a historical franchise. And when Kubiak was asked, what was the choice from Seattle or here? He said it was a no-brainer. No-brainer. He loved Seattle. He loved the time there. But being able to coach the Raiders was a no-brainer. So I think Spytek, man. I think Spytek gets the credit. Um, Brady's just Brady wasn't there. He wasn't in on it. Mark Davis just signs the checks, right? He wasn't front and center. He wasn't on the stage today. It was different when they brought in a general manager and a head coach. This time they had the GM and they just brought in a head coach, right? So I think that was a little different. But it shows that Tom Brady that Mark Davis is taking a step back. And I'm really hoping that Tom Brady takes a step back and lets Spytek cook, because I feel like Spytek is the most experienced in the building when it comes to this shit. We talked about the guys that he brought in yesterday, and I want to see Spytek cook, man. I want to see Spytek do his thing. I think he's the guy. I have all the utmost, confidence in this man and what he can do in his background and where he's been. And I think it's a good combination. I think these guys are going to be tied at the hip, according to Kubiak, according to Spytek, right? They're going to work together. And, maybe Mark Davis ain't on the same page as Spytek when it comes to the hiring, offensive, defensive shit. But it seems like Mark Davis is going to be out of the picture and let these guys run the show. And if that happens, the future is bright as hell. The Hippo is going to be a Raiders this next season. What? Which Seattle free agent would you sign? Lucas, Walker, Jacoby Reed, Mafe, Lawrence, or Shaheed? That's a damn good question, Arnie Garza. Seattle's got 70 mil, but they have a lot of guys that are in their contract years, like K9, right? Like their number one receiver, Jackson Smith and Jigba. They have, I think, an offensive lineman and two more defensive players. Devin Witherspoon, right? All these guys are in contract years. They were all drafted the same time. So they're going to have the same problem the Raiders are going to have a couple of years of having all these guys drafted around the same time. And I wouldn't mind Reed. I wouldn't mind Lawrence. I wouldn't mind Moffitt. I wouldn't mind any of these guys. I think they could bring a little bit, of what they were teaching in Seattle. If they do bring some Seattle, defensive coordinators or staff members, I think they could help with that. So pretty much any one of these guys, man. I'm good with K9. I'm good with Reed. I think Dexter Lawrence would be nasty. That would be huge for us. With Mendoza going first round, what position would you draft second round? What are your target? What are you targeting in the second round? Well, Arnie Garza, if you just hit rewind a little bit, you'll see the mock draft we just did, and it'll tell you pretty much everything. I don't know if Mendoza is number one. If you watch the press conference, right? He said he hasn't seen tape on Mendoza. He watched one game. That was the national championship game. He liked his toughness. He liked what he's seen, but he needs to watch tape. And he needs to watch tape on these other guys that are potentially in the first round. So to me, it went from 99.9% drafted Mendoza to I would like to say somewhere in the 80s, maybe 80, 82%. I think there's a much higher chance that the Raiders don't take a quarterback number one in this draft. If I'm looking at, this is my take, if I'm looking at Klint Kubiak, if I'm looking at Gary Kubiak and their past and the way they drafted, and then I'm looking at the teams he's been around and the way they drafted, it doesn't seem like taking a quarterback first overall is the way he wants to go. Unless that guy just wows the shit out of him, he thinks, damn, he could run my system right away. So, if you're taking Mendoza first overall, more than likely, my pick is going to be a center, a guard, center, or a tackle. I think you need a right tackle. You need a right tackle bad. I think we can get a couple of those in free agency. But yeah, I mean, if you're drafting a quarterback number one, you got to protect him, right? So you take the best available offensive lineman, whether it be center, guard, or tackle, and you bring him into camp and you let him compete. But really, when I'm looking at this first round, I'm looking at 32 names that I wouldn't mind having 32 of them, really, right? There's a lot of guys in the first round that I would love to have. And if you look at the positions of need, wide receiver, linebacker, edge, offensive line, a lot of those guys are going to be gone in the first round. They ain't even going to make it to the second round. So lots of questions, lots of things to think about, man. Do you make Max Crosby happy? Do you try to take the best player on defense in the second round, right? If Max is staying around, you got to cater to your best players. Max still is the franchise until somebody takes those reins. He's still the guy. So I wouldn't mind going, if you're drafting a quarterback number one, hell, go defense number two. Take the best defensive player, the best corner, the best linebacker, the best defensive tackle. I think we'll be just fine with that. Kubiak's offense creates rising stars like Olave, JSN. Who will be our next star? That's easy. It's going to be Ashton Genty. It's going to be Jack Besh. It's 100%. Brock Bowers already is a star. He's just going to be a bigger star. And the Raiders are going to have a lot of decisions to make come 2-3 years. Do you keep Brock? Do you keep Ashton Genty? Do you keep Jesus criminy, so many guys that we've drafted so high? Do you keep Charles Grant? Do you keep Caleb Rogers? Do you keep Dante Thornton? Do you keep Ashton Genty? Can you keep any of these guys? Jack Besh. There's a lot of offensive players that contracts are going to be up in the next 3, 3, and 4 years. And the Raiders have a lot of questions. Kubiak has a lot of work to do. And we will be here to talk about it every single day. So like, subscribe, follow. I appreciate everybody rocking with your guy. I've been on for an hour and a half. I love y'all. If you want to catch the whole entire show, like, subscribe, tickle the noti button so you are notified when I go live, so you don't miss this great content by Raiders Unleashed, because we are growing. Not as fast as we would like to, but we are growing, and we're going to keep growing with your help. So love y'all. Like, subscribe, follow. Appreciate you. Much love as always. Raiders. Peace.